Welcome to this audiobook summary of Stumbling on Happiness by Daniel Gilbert. This fascinating book explores the science of happiness, but not in the usual way you might expect. Gilbert explains how our minds often make mistakes when it comes to predicting what will make us happy in the future. Instead of simply telling us how to be happy, he helps us understand why we often fail to achieve happiness, even when we try. Let's walk through the key ideas in an easy-to-understand way. Introduction: Why we struggle to predict happiness. Gilbert starts by pointing out a surprising truth: humans are not very good at predicting what will make them happy. We all think we know what will bring us joy in the future, whether it's a new job, a relationship, or a holiday. But research shows that we often get it wrong. The things we believe will make us happy often don't, and the things we fear will make us unhappy usually aren't as bad as we expect. This is because our brains have some quirks that affect how we imagine the future. These quirks can lead us to make decisions that don't actually bring us the happiness we thought they would. The role of imagination. One of the key ideas in Stumbling on Happiness is that our imagination is not always a reliable guide. When we think about the future, we tend to imagine the best or worst outcomes, but real life is usually somewhere in between. Gilbert explains that our brains fill in the gaps when we imagine future events, often adding details that are unrealistic or simply wrong. For example, if we're planning a holiday, we might imagine perfect sunny days and exciting adventures. But our imagination forgets about the long airport queues or bad weather. This is why the reality of the holiday may not live up to what we expected. The present affects how we see the future. Another important concept is that our current feelings and experiences influence how we think about the future. If you're in a good mood right now, you're more likely to imagine a positive future. But if you're feeling down, your vision of the future may be more pessimistic. This can lead us to make decisions based on how we feel in the moment, rather than thinking clearly about what will actually make us happy in the long run. Gilbert calls this the Presentism bias, meaning that we focus too much on the present when we predict our future feelings. We adapt to change more than we think. One of the most interesting findings in the book is that we are much more adaptable than we think. When we experience something negative, like losing a job or going through a breakup, we often believe it will ruin our happiness for a long time. However, research shows that humans are incredibly resilient, and we tend to bounce back from setbacks more quickly than we expect. Similarly, when we achieve something positive, like a promotion or winning the lottery, the boost in happiness often doesn't last as long as we think it will. We quickly return to our baseline level of happiness, a phenomenon known as hedonic adaptation. Why we don't learn from experience. Gilbert also explores why, even though we experience these patterns in our lives, we don't learn from them. Part of the reason is that we often forget how we actually felt in the past. Our memories of events are not perfect records; instead, they are influenced by how we feel now. This can lead us to remember past events as being better or worse than they actually were, which distorts how we make decisions about the future. The secret to happiness. So, if our brains are so bad at predicting happiness, what can we do about it? Gilbert suggests that one way to make better decisions is to look at the experiences of others. If you're trying to figure out if a new job or relationship will make you happy, ask people who have already been through those experiences. Their insights can help you avoid the mistakes your brain might make when imagining the future. Gilbert also encourages us to accept that we can't perfectly predict happiness and to stop worrying about making the right decisions all the time. Instead, focus on the present and enjoy the happiness you have right now, rather than always chasing future happiness. Conclusion: embrace the imperfection. In Stumbling on Happiness, Daniel Gilbert shows us that the search for happiness is much more complicated than we think. Our brains are not perfect at imagining the future, and we often stumble on our way to happiness. But by understanding these mental quirks, we can make better decisions and find more contentment in life. Thank you for listening to this audiobook summary of Stumbling on Happiness by Daniel Gilbert. We hope this has helped you gain a new perspective on happiness and how to approach it in your own life. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more insightful book summaries.